Morning. My name is Dr. Ile again. Today's date is March 16 of 2024. Today we are going to talk of hormones, like I promised last time. Basically, hormones are chemical in the body that help us to function. They are made in organs like the pituitary glands, even the hypothalamus, which are in the brain, and they are made in every other part of the body. For instance, the thyroid is around your neck. It makes what they call thyroid hormone. You have hormones in the abdomen, whether it is adrenal gland that make a lot of hormones, including cortisol, including some androgens. And you have testicular hormone. You have ovaries that make hormones. You have pancreas that make insulin, which is also a hormone. So basically, hormones are chemicals that allow the cells to function very well. Let's start with the hormones from the brain. The brain has what they call hypothalamus. It is basically a small organ at maybe the size of almonds, which is located below the thalamus. I'm not going to bore you with brain anatomy, but it's connected to what they call a pituitary gland, which is also below the hypothalamus. And pituitary gland usually make hormones that also regulate other hormones in the body. Most of the hormones made in the pituitary gland includes hormones like prolactin, hormones like ACTH, which is adrenocorticotropic hormone, hormones like follicular stimulating hormone, luteinizing hormone, which are the hormones that control reproductive organs. We also have what they call melanocyte stimulating hormone, which is a hormone that stimulates the melanin in your skin to make melanin. And we also have behind the pituitary gland, there is what they call posterior pituitary gland, which is actually a connection from the hypothalamus. It's part of the hypothalamus. And they make what they call ADH, which is antidiuretic hormone, and oxytocin, which is basically the hormone that help in production, during the childbirth, that stimulates to help with contraction of the uterus. Is mostly a reproductive hormone that help the mother during childbirth. So when the hormone also is regulated from part of the hypothalamus, which also make what they call releasing hormone. It helps in releasing some of those hormones. You also have the growth hormone, which is also made in the pituitary area and also from the hypothalamus. You have what they call releasing hormones, whether it is thyroid releasing hormone that stimulates the pituitary to make what they call thyroid stimulating hormone, which now goes to the thyroid gland, which is located in your neck, to stimulate production of what they call T4 and T3. T4 and T3 basically depends on how much iodine that is in there. So, and these hormones, what they do is they help you in controlling your mood, help you in controlling hunger, thirst, help you in controlling, regulate the cells to help you with energy, with metabolism. If you lack any of those hormones, you're going to have what they call, you're going to have deficiency, which will later be obvious. For instance, if you have what they call adrenal insufficiency, you will not be able to make cortisol, adrenalines. These are very important hormones that regulate your anxiety, also regulate glucose, and regulate how you eat. If you have deficiency in your thyroid hormone, you get cold very easily, what they call cold intolerance. You will be gaining weight. You will actually decrease metabolism, and you will notice that most of your activities are slow. You actually can become very depressed, because these are things that help you to improve your mood, make you very strong and energetic. And if you slow down any of those activity, you're gonna have problems, and you will notice the difference. And that's when you notice that, oh, everybody's feeling okay, but I'm feeling very cold. I'm constipated. Why am I so constipated? Because it has slowed down your metabolism. And then when you go to a doctor, they can check your thyroid and see how much, if you're having deficiency. And if you're having deficiency, they will replace it. Usually there's a replacement for it called Synthroid or levothyroxine, which your doctor will start you on. Usually, it depends on your age. If you are above 75, they usually start you on a very low dose. If you are younger, they calculate the dose to start you with. It depends on your weight. It depends on how much, how big your TSH is and things like that. And then they will now monitor you every more often. Usually every 6 weeks, 4 to 6 weeks. And if your thyroid stimulating hormone is still very high, they will increase it. If it is getting too low, that is making you very sweaty and very fidgety and tremulous, they will decrease it. So the idea is also to put you in a balance. All these hormones have a level, and the level is different for different people. But if you check 95% of the population, they usually bring it into a level where they feel they are comfortable, and most people who are in that level don't have symptoms. And during the replacement, the idea is to make sure that those levels are matched, and then monitor how you do. I mean, clinical symptoms is better than the level in medical practice anyway. But most people who are on that level tend to function at the rate the doctor will prefer. So you have also the pancreas. The pancreas is known to make insulin. The insulin is the one that regulates our blood sugar. It also makes glucagon. So the pancreas has two functions. It's called the endocrine function, and it has the exocrine function. The exocrine function is one that makes those chemicals that help you in digesting your food, whether it is protein, whether it is fat, or things like that. So they're made in big numbers when you eat. And if you're having any problem with your pancreas, maybe you have what they call pancreatitis, and you cannot make those things, you will notice that you have severe pain. Your body cannot digest the food you eat, and you actually have to seek a doctor to be able to find a way to replace. Or first of all, they're going to try to find out why you're not excreting those hormones and chemicals. And if it's because your pancreas is dead or not functioning or the cells are not working, then they give you a replacement. There's a replacement out there that's usually available, especially for those who have what they call chronic pancreatitis, especially alcoholics. Now, the pancreas has what's called B cell. The B cell is what makes the insulin. It also what makes the glucagon. Glucagon is a counter of insulin. So when you're not eating, your body does the glucagon to produce sugar for you. It goes to the liver, go to the glycogen in your liver storage and get it to make glucose. And if you're eating, your body makes insulin, and insulin is used to metabolize glucose. All in the sense is to make you be in a balance so your blood sugar don't go too high. Because the blood sugar level is usually between 80 and 100. If it's above 100, maybe 100 to 126, we would think you might be having what they call pre-diabetes. If it's above 126, especially fasting blood sugar, we think you're having diabetes if it's above 126 for fasting. Usually, but for random, we usually use like 200. But what we try to check what they call A1C, which is basically the glycylation of your hemoglobin by glucose. But so I will take a break now, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about other hormones, including reproductive hormones, which we'll talk about, especially testosterone, and when to seek a doctor, when to replace it. Thank you. See you in 2 minutes. Thank you. Bye. Thank you. Welcome back. I just took a break, and we want to talk about reproductive hormones and also adrenal hormones. Reproductive hormones starts from the brain. Like I talked about pituitary gland, where you see the prolactin. The prolactin basically is a direct hormone that goes to a woman's breast to help with lactation. That's why it's called prolactin. But it also controls other hormones like the sex hormones, especially if it is elevated. So you also have the adrenocorticotropic hormone, which basically stimulates the adrenal glands to make what they call their own hormones. The hormones in the adrenal glands, adrenal gland had two major parts, the cortex and the medulla. When you talk about the cortex, you talk about the steroid hormones, which includes the androgens, which also includes the cortisol. So what they do is the androgens also go into the channel to make the estrogens, which is used in regulating somebody's sexual activity. And though the primary hormones are made in the sex organs, which include the testosterone and which includes the testes and the ovaries. The ovaries make mostly estrogen, but they all make androgens. Androgens are male sex hormones, but they are converted into estrogen very fast in women and very slowly in men. So even though men have estrogen, but it's very tiny compared to what women have. Even though women have androgen, it's very tiny compared to what men have, because most of the androgens are converted into estrogen in women, and a very little is converted in men to estrogen. And all of them come from cholesterol. I know everybody has heard about how bad cholesterol is. Cholesterol is not good if it is very high. I've seen a very high cholesterol where the person's blood was full of fat. If you draw the blood and you leave it for 5 minutes, the whole blood is congealed and you can't even see any blood inside. It was all covered with fat. But that's congenital. But if you have high cholesterol from bad diets, not exercising, or they have what they call very high LDL and very low HDL. HDL is the good cholesterol. LDL is bad cholesterol. If you have very high of them, that's going to put you in trouble. But cholesterol is also good because from cholesterol you make vitamin D, which is also a hormone in its own part because it regulates the cell and help us with our bones and calcium. So that the same way the cholesterol goes into the process, gets into converting into the sex hormones, which include the testosterone, the estrogen, the DHEAS, the DHEA, the, all the androgens that our body make all come from cholesterol. So cholesterol is not really terrible. It's not a terrible chemical, but we don't want it to be too high. So what happens is that, and it's not just the sexual organs, it's very helpful with other steroid hormones that are made. And that the same cortex where you see the cortisol, which basically is a hormone that helps us in regulating our blood sugar, blood pressure, and is a very, very important hormone. If it's not produced too much or if it's not produced at all, then if it does produce at all, it's going to be a problem, because when you wake up in the morning fasting, your cortisol level is up a little bit because it's helping your body convert some of the stored sugar, whether it is stored in glycogen, into making some glucose to keep you in what they call in the glycemic index, to make your blood sugar normal. But if it is too high all the time, that will make you have diabetes, because it's going to be making your body make a lot of blood sugar. That's why you have what they call Cushing syndrome, where you have people who look so obese, their blood sugar is very high, and usually it's caused by a tumor in the adrenal gland, which must be removed for them to be able to have a good life or good lifespan. So what happens when you have low testosterone or low estrogen? It could be that your testicle is not working the way it should. It could also be that your pituitary gland is not producing the hormones that is needed to stimulate your testes to make those hormones. It could also be that there could be a tumor which is making your body make a lot of prolactin that is actually affecting the function, the follicular stimulating hormone and luteinizing hormones that control our sexual organs and sexual hormones. So if you have decreased mood, if you have low drive, if you have any of those problems, you notice that you're sleeping a lot and you're not yourself, you might have to be checked out, especially if you're a younger person. See if there's anything in your body that is causing any of those problems. If everything checks out well, then you might have to do all this hormonal tests to make sure that you are not having what they call deficiency. And if you're having deficiency, that needs to be treated. Now, if you're having deficiency in testosterone, we can replace that. Usually, there's a treatment. And if you are having any problem with estrogen issues, we'll try to find a way to also correct that. Now, if you're having any pituitary problem, whether it is that the pituitary is making a lot of hormones, probably because of a tumor, we usually try to remove that and put you on some hormonal treatment. So even though your body had to function with hormones, you also know that due to certain problems, you might not be able to produce the hormones like you used to, or due to some disease, due to some activity, you might have a deficiency that needs to be fixed. But the good news is that most of these hormones can be fixed, because hormones regulate the cell. If the cells are not functioning very well, then your body is not going to function very well, because the cell, even though it's very tiny, accumulation of it is what makes the whole body. So basically, as a human being, our body is accumulation of cells. Like I said, about 75 trillion cells make up most of our body. They have different, they are, you know, they're in different organs and tissues, and they do different jobs. But in the end, is they're all coded in our DNA to act that way. And every one of them is somehow interrelated and communicating. So a problem on this part will probably gonna affect a problem on the other part, because in the end, you have what they call the blood vessel that move all these chemicals around our body. Take, for instance, if you're having a problem with your kidney, the kidney makes what they call erythropoietin. Erythropoietin is a hormone that if your kidney is damaged, you're not able to make red blood cell, because that erythropoietin is the hormone that goes into your bone to get your bone to stimulate blood. So you see how the connection is? So that's why when you have somebody who on dialysis, they want to call them procreate. Procreate is basically erythropoietin. Anyway, we're gonna stop right now, and then next time we're gonna continue on hormonal treatment, and we're gonna continue on the function and why it needs to be replaced, because hormones is a very important part of our body, and it is one of the commonest deficiencies that we have, but are treatable. And the good news is that we have been able to dissect and find some of this. I mean, I'm sure there are other hormones that we don't know yet, but most of the hormones that our body needs, we have been able to get to the bottom of them and find a way to replace them. So there's hope, and in the future, we're going to even find a better way to replace those hormones. Thank you, and God bless.